its if-else branch. Are you curious why you should consider using AppSync as a programmer? In this video, we're diving into those juiciest bits of coding with AppSync. We're talking creating items, getting those created items to the list fully offline with minimal effort. Offline. We're talking subscribing to the changes that other people made and automatically getting those changes to our list. If you want to see the app creation from beginning, watch the last episode up here. Otherwise, if you just want to see the juicy bits of AppSync app creation, continue watching this video. This is where we left the application in the last episode. Now there's no way to create games in our application, so we'll be adding game create component
to this game create.
In the app.js, we import game create from the game create component and we render it before the game with data. In the game create component, we render heading game create. We introduce an input where you write your game name. We set any changes to the state of this component. On the click, we call this handle create function. Just print what we are creating. Now let's start this and see if it works. It works. There's create AAA printed on our console. Now we need a game create with data so we can send the data to the server. Here is game create with data. It feeds this stuff to game create. It's given game create mutation for creating a game with the input of name. Compose will provide these props to game create, and it will provide onCreate function that the game create can call. This onCreate function then calls the mutate method to start creating the game. The onCreate method takes the game and gives it as a variable to the mutation. When we create a game, this optimistic response will be instantly given to us. So before we even created the game, or if we don't even have the internet connection, our client will think that the game is created successfully. Game tab is with capital. Yes, that looks better. We need to call this game create when we press create button. And gameCreate takes the name. The method is onCreate worms. It's there in the database, but it's not here because we only retrieve this one game. We don't need this game, instead we need a game list. There's no need for any variables. We'll just give all the data we get to the component. We have a game list component that is rendered with data. It takes all the data from the game list query. It takes the data from props, the listed games from the data. It goes through all these games, sorts them by name. It renders each one in its own div, prints the name. This key is something that React wants. Now what we need is this game list query and its implementation in AppSync. Let us implement game listing in AppSync. We make a new query, list games. The query takes limit, which is the amount of games you want to list. And then next token, that's for pagination. So if we get 10 games first and then we want to get the next 10 games, then we use the next token we got from the first query and input it here. This returns game connection, which returns us the list of games in the item and the next token that we need for pagination. The list games field. Here we can use the list items template with the limit and next token and the default response. That was a bit buggy. Now it should work. Everything should work. Work. Props. We'll fix this query. It's listing the games now. We add a game. Worms Armageddon. Create, refresh. It's there, but it's not there automatically. For that, we should implement refetch queries. This tells Apollo to run game query list again when there's a new game. See, it works, but this doesn't work in offline because running get query game requires an internet connection. We have this optimistic response here. What we need to do is, in addition to refetch, or instead of it, we need to use this update method. Let's try again. Now add x3, go offline, press create. Well, it's trying, but it says missing field ID in game. And the thing is, we have to also provide ID in the create for it to work offline. Of course, we cannot know what is the ID of the item if we don't have it. So what we should do is create the ID on client side and send that ID to the server. Also give the ID here. Instead of only taking the name, we should also take the ID. The resolver should not automatically assign the ID. Okay, now we're offline. We can add games just fine. What about that synchronization? If we open this in 2 tabs, with AppSync we want to synchronize the changes from this tab to that tab, but that's not happening. Only when we load, we actually get that synchronized stuff. So how can we do it, you ask me? In addition to data, we are giving subscribe create game function as a props to the component game list. Subscribe create game runs subscribe more and tells it to run a subscription to the AppSync, and when the subscription receives something, then it will take the onCreateGame result from the subscription and it will add this new data to the previous game list. Of course, we also need to add this subscription to our schema. Now we have a third field in our schema that's subscription, and the subscription has onCreateGame subscription, and it's subscribed to changes from mutation create game. The last thing we need to do is of course call this subscribe create game in the game list. Oh great, here's a copy paste error. Subscription. Now let's see if it works. Hello game. It automatically updates here. Just to be sure it's not in some weird browser cache or anything. Let's also try it with the pawn browser. WoW game. World of Warcraft. It syncs. coffee.
If you like this episode, hit that like button, subscribe. Stay tuned.